Fantastic. And I think we can kick it off. Great. So welcome, everyone. Great to see some familiar faces and names. So happy to have you here at the Northern BC Ideas Lab for Food Systems Transformation info session. So this is a program offered by Food Banks BC and Public Health Association of BC with support from the BC government. My name is Julia, and I'm the manager of community food development at Public Health Association of BC.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rebecca, and I am the Project Management Office and Quality Assurance Manager at PHABC, also working on this project with Julia.
Thanks. All right, so I think we can go to the land acknowledgement. Before we begin, I'm hoping to acknowledge that I'm a guest on the unceded traditional territory of the Lekwungen people, now known as the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations, colonially known as Victoria. And I actually just learned that Lekwungen means place to smoke herring, which is very apropos, just highlighting how connected place and land and food is. And so many of you are connected to land and place and food as well, helping to address food security in your work and lives and food sovereignty. So I encourage each of you to put into the chat the traditional territory you're calling from, your name. You could add the organization you're coming from if you wish. There's a lot of us here, so we won't do a round of intros, but it would be lovely to hear more about where you're joining from and who you are. All right, so just to review the plan for today, we'll just give a little bit of an overview of the project team. We'll get a sense of who you are all joining this room today and give you an overview of the Ideas Lab itself, what to expect, some examples of some projects you might want to undertake through this program, how to apply, and hopefully leave some time at the end for some questions and answers. Oh, thanks everyone for sharing where you're joining from. Great. So just briefly to explain, the Public Health Association of BC is a voluntary nonprofit, non-government member-driven organization providing leadership to promote health, well-being, and social equity. And Food Banks BC is the provincial association of food banks with a membership of 107 hunger relief agencies throughout BC. And the Ideas Lab is a new program that we're offering through our partnership. We've joined together to support systems that create equitable and sustainable access to food in Northern communities, such as you all. All right, we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So a little bit more info about the Division of Community Engagement and Food Systems and the work that we have undertaken or are undertaking. These are just some examples of some of the work that we do, and I know a lot of you have been involved in a lot of them, like Farm to School BC, or maybe the Rapid Stimulus Grant might be familiar to you, Resilient North, which we'll be talking about. It just gives you a bit of an idea of the type of work that we're doing. And for the next slide, we're going to do a little test of polling and try to get a sense from you all. Here, I'll try to run this. Let's try. Have you all done a poll before on Zoom? This just helps us to know what kind of people we've got here today. This is kind of like a multi-sectoral invitation list. So it'd just be interesting to see if you scroll down, there's some options in this poll of where you're joining from, and you can just click any that apply to you. I know that there's some that probably represent more than one category. So I'll give that a couple minutes just to get some input. I get to see the results as they come in. So I'm seeing like bar graphs moving. It's kind of fun. All right, and I'll just give it another couple minutes if you want to answer the poll. And then I'll even share the results so that we can see. So this is the results of the poll. We've got a large proportion of folks joining from community service organizations and food access organizations, and a nice representation of some other sectors too. So that's great. I think a lot of this work is intended to bring people together from different perspectives and standpoints. So really happy to see that we've got some diversity here and lots of people focused on food security and food solutions. And for this next slide, if you're so inclined, we're actually curious about the regional distribution of the folks in this Zoom room. So you could even just put in, or actually, no, I have a poll for this too. I forgot. Thank you, Rebecca. You could put into the chat or put into the poll where you're joining from. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Let's find out. Cool. All right. Oh yeah. I'll end the poll and share the results. We got a good representation across the North. So we know, I'm joining from Victoria and I've been chatting with a lot of you. So I really appreciate the geographical knowledge I've gained that the regions are massive. And I think this is an opportunity to join together and try to come up with some regional solutions, despite and because of the distances that the North is encountering. All right.
And we also just want to note that there's not quite as much representation from the Northeast here, but we would like to see more of it. So if any of the folks in the room, either those from the Northeast or those from other regions who know folks in the Northeast that might be wanting to join, food system advocates and champions, please do pass the information along to them, as we'd love to encourage more folks to join. Okay, so what is the Ideas Lab for Food Systems Transformation, you may be wondering. So the Ideas Lab program really aims to facilitate and build the capacity for multi-sectoral food system champions and advocates across the Northern BC region to be collaborating, aligning, and innovating together for local food system solutions. And as you may have guessed from the last slide, there is going to be 3 Ideas Labs. So there'll be one established in the Northwest, Northern Interior, and Northeastern regions of BC. And so really the focus of this program is about building skills in the community so that people can apply this innovative designs and systems thinking lens to the work that they do and the work that they plan on doing. There is some seed funding available to support some of the projects that come out of this Ideas Lab, but really the main focus is around building those skills and those connections to kind of enhance the work that you are already doing and plan on doing in the future. And so even after the program ends, groups will have made amazing connections across the region and can continue to collaborate together with the skills that they've built here and the contacts that they've made. And who can participate? So we're really seeking multi-sectoral collaboration. So really across a range of sectors, anybody who is doing food systems work, food system advocates, champions across many different sectors. I won't read them all out here, but I'll just give you a moment to read the slide and see the different sorts of folks that we're calling into this. And there could be more sectors not represented here too. So why the Ideas Lab? How did it all come to be? A little bit of background information. So back in 2021, PHABC produced a report that characterized the landscape of food access programming during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we surveyed a bunch of food access organizations across the province, and we found some interesting results from that. So I will send out these slides on Tuesday out to everybody. So you can take a deeper look in to this report. We'll link to it in the slides. And basically we found that many food banks, food access organizations in Northern BC are confronting barriers and challenges that are very unique to the Northern context and therefore require Northern solutions. So one of the recommendations that was born from this project was that rural and remote communities experience different challenges than urban centers and require unique strategies to ensure those communities are getting the support they need, including the time and funding to self-determine these strategies. So the next step was the following project that arose from this, which was the Resilient North project. And many of you in the room may have participated in this project. So in 2022, PHABC and Food Banks BC launched the Resilient North project with support from the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction. And so this project really aimed to investigate the challenges, strengths, and opportunities related to food security and dignified food access across Northern BC. And so we reviewed evidence like literature review, and we did a lot of direct engagement with Northern communities, various different folks, including local food access organizations, food producers, retailers, Indigenous communities, health authorities, and more. So we conducted site visits, we did surveys, we hosted roundtable discussions, and also interviews. So thanks for those in the room who participated in those engagements. And from this, we identified that there is a strong desire within Northern communities for improved coordination amongst organizations to really leverage resources and also to avoid the duplication of efforts. So some of the ideas that came out of this were to establish regional networks, create more opportunities for collaboration and exchanging knowledge, as well as sharing resources and equipment through food hubs and things like that. And so we identified that there's a need also to support these collaborative efforts. Many organizations are already doing this great work, collaborating, but they are quite stretched in their capacity. So they do require funds to action their ideas, as well as support in actually organizing these opportunities for collaboration. And so in an effort to address these needs, the Ideas Lab was created. There's also many other findings that are very interesting that came from this project. We don't have time to go into them in detail here, but during the Ideas Lab sessions, we will dive into those more. And now I'll pass it back to Julia to discuss the Ideas Lab and what to expect.
Thanks. So yes, just to highlight that this has definitely been a community-informed process, and we're happy to bring the Ideas Lab to the community. Some of the things that you'll be getting from participation in the Ideas Lab include networking and collaborating with other food advocates, ideating innovative and collaborative multi-sectoral projects for food security. We will have a community of practice that is primarily online through a platform called PlaySpeak for sharing resources, ideas, and knowledge. And we'll be providing some training and building skills in equity-centered design and food system transformation, almost like a professional development opportunity. And there will be an opportunity for participants to join a project team to implement an initiative. And PHABC will be a part of the support for those projects with an opportunity for seed funding, coordination, and project management. In terms of what commitment looks like for the program. Program officially starts this fall, and will go for a little over a year. And there will be ongoing opportunities to connect and collaborate. We recommend one representative per organization to participate so that we're really encouraging these cross-organizational collaborations. And in terms of lab time, so these are virtual sessions where we'll be providing educational content and skill building. There'll be throughout the year or so of the program, 15 to 20 hours of program time, lab time. And then we'll also be having 2 in-person events, one in each region and one across Northern BC with travel bursaries available. There'll be project time that groups will go off on their own and develop their own projects, that's self-directed, but we'll be there to support as much as possible. And just to share with the group that the goal of this is really to create an enduring network where we can share what we've learned and help other organizations learn too. So we'll be sharing the ideas and the learnings ongoing in the commons. So this is just a visual of the timeline, and it's on our website as well. We've got the info session. After the info session will be an enrollment process. We have some sessions in the fall for skill building, and then in the new year, prototyping and funding, and throughout the year following, opportunities for reflection, implementation, and further collaboration. So we have another poll just to get a sense from you. If you were to attend a 2-hour online virtual session, what time of day might work best for you? I don't know, Rebecca, if you have access to run the poll. But in the fall, it'll be a monthly meeting. And then in the new year, we'll switch to quarterly meetings. So it'll be around 4 to 8 meetings through the course of the year. And I will also say that in the enrollment and application process, there'll be an opportunity to identify your preferred time slot as well. This is just helpful for us so that we get a sense of everybody's needs and preferences. All right. Deer season. Thank you, Colin. Yeah, and actually that's a good point. Maybe we can have something on the enrollment about barriers or times that don't work. So I'm just sharing the results just for interest, that I will stop. Thank you, everybody. All right, so just to go a little bit deeper into what the training and the skill building sessions will look like, we're really modeling these after equity-centered design processes. So those steps that you see below are the steps that we'll follow as a group. So you're noticing what's around you, you're empathizing with the problem, defining the problem, ideating, prototyping, testing, and reflecting. So it's a little bit different from the approaches that I know I was taught, and hopefully can spark some innovation and new ways of thinking together. And of course, the focus will be on food systems innovation and transformation. However, we will also have an opportunity for input from participants. If there's anything in particular that the project groups are hoping to learn, we absolutely want to adapt the program for your interests. And as we mentioned, we'll have ongoing knowledge exchange, resource sharing, and PHABC staff to support with some of that coordination and project planning. And in terms of the funding that is available, the approximate pot is $250,000, and the hope is that that pot gets distributed across the regions. We'll have an intake process of proposals and prototyping in the new year after that fall skill building component. And just to state that not all projects may be funded, But any participant who does not receive funding for their project can either join another project or continue attending the labs as a participant. And again, because we're aiming for this really to be community informed and adapted, we'll have community and participants inform the selection criteria of the funds. And again, we're hoping that this continues past the Ideas Lab. So hoping that projects that are looking to continue afterwards, we can support by providing guidance on other resources and funding. And here we have, because it's a bit nebulous at the moment, it's going to be very experimental. It's going to continue to evolve. But having talked with a lot of you and other groups in Northern BC working on food, some ideas that might be of interest to you. This is not prescriptive at all, but just to give you a better sense of some ideas. Some groups may want to come together to work on policy around food, or enhancing food distribution, which we know is a big challenge, or supply, and better connecting with other producers or other organizations to enhance supply. Some groups may want to experiment with sustainable growing models or food access models that are different than the charitable model, more holistic. So the program is all about bringing your ideas to light. We're not going to prescribe any ideas, but this just gives you a starting point maybe.
All right, so you may be wondering how to apply. So we'll have an application form that goes live on Tuesday of next week. So this will be available on our website. You can see the link there, but we'll also send this out by email along with the slides. And so the deadline, it'll be live for about 3 weeks. So on Tuesday, July 23rd is when the deadline to apply is. And so for some context, the reason why we have an application form is just to ensure that the people who are applying are relevant to this program, people who are involved or interested in being involved in food access work. And then also we anticipate that everybody will be accepted into the program, but in the rare case that we get like a whole bunch of people applying and we just don't have enough room, some of the selection criteria that we're going to use is we're wanting to ensure diverse representation from the different regions, as well as from different sectors. So that can influence our decision about who is admitted to the program. So you will be notified of your acceptance into the program by early August. And once enrolled, we'll ask you to join PlaySpeak. So PlaySpeak is a secure online engagement platform that is a space that you can discuss and share ideas, share resources and information. So we'll start engaging folks on that in August before the program officially launches in September. And so if you have any barriers to participation, please do reach out and let us know. So we are hoping that folks will be able to mostly participate in this program on paid time from their own organizations, because this is a great opportunity for professional development as well as collaboration and networking. But if your organization does not have the resources to fund you to participate in this, we do have some funding available to sponsor some of the members of the Ideas Lab. So please do reach out to us and then we can sort that out from there. And also just wanting to note that if there are community partners that you're really keen to work with, who you do not see in this room, please do let them know about the program and encourage them to apply as well. Now the floor is open to everybody in the room to ask any questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. Any questions, comments?
Oh, I see in the chat a question. There is no fee to participate in the program.
Yes, and I do see a question here, just a direct message about yes, other groups that you know that maybe were missed from the invite list or didn't know about this. Please do share the opportunity out. We'd love to encourage as many folks who are relevant to food access work to know about this as possible.
We do have somebody in the chat wondering if anyone is here from Carrier Sakani. Which we'll have to, yeah. And I think too, as we have this online platform available, groups can start to talk with each other and talk about the types of issues that they want to identify. But that'll come through the sessions too.
Alex, I see your comment there about not knowing everyone's affiliation. It's hard to know how representative we are. Yes, that's why actually we have the application form. So on that form, we'll be able to identify where folks are affiliated with. But yeah, if people would like to pop in the chat what organization they're representing, just the name of their organization, that would be great to even just get that started. And can an individual or group still sign up partway through the program? No, we want folks to be able to be there for the whole duration of the program.
I will say too that the sessions after the fall, like in the new year, will be more educational and less focused on project development in particular, but we'll continue to follow up with the project as they develop. So there might be opportunity in the new year for those who were not part of that initial fall skill building. Awesome. This is great to see who's represented. Thank you all. Yes, I think research can be a project. The goal, though, is that the projects are collaborative. So if it involves other organizations, other sectoral representatives and advocates, I would say that it would be considered for sure.
And I see a message from Selene around honorariums. Did you already respond to that one, Julia? So yes, there is, as we mentioned, there is funding available for folks who are not funded to be participants in the program. So anybody who their organization just doesn't have the resources to fund them to be a part of this Ideas Lab, there is a bit of funding available to sponsor those folks and provide honorariums for their attendance, because we want to make this as low barrier as possible.
Not a lot of questions. I'm like, oh, while we have everyone, what questions can we ask the group? But this actually is helpful, what's happening in the chat, to know where everyone's joining from.
I have a question. Normally in these funding, when you approach food systems, the funding is more in the area of being proactive on the implementation of the services. This funding, it's just for clarity. This funding is more in supporting capacity development and system creation.
No, so the capacity development piece is the educational piece that's part of the program. And then the funding is actually going towards the projects that people come up, the ideas for projects that people come up with during the program. So it's seed funding to support the actual project's implementation. And the capacity building side is the educational program that people participate in before they even come up with their project proposals. And that is free and provided as part of the program.
So a good perspective will be kind of communicating, let's say, producers with community, and would that be kind of like the goal of this? Integrating sections that are isolated at this point, or?
Yeah, ideally, the projects that we're looking to support, that you folks will come up with together as part of the Ideas Lab will be focused on collaboration, multi-sectoral collaboration, as well as innovation for real food systems transformation. Thank you.
And also just to build on, I don't know if, Carlos, this is what you were referring to, but in terms of like eligibility or criteria for the funding, that's something that we will evolve together with the participants. But I don't think there will be many restrictions in terms of if several organizations want to buy a van together and help with distribution, because we all know that there's a lot of empty vans driving around. That could be an example. So even though it's like an infrastructure expense, I think it would still be eligible. Or if it was a policy and time spent developing a policy that different communities can use, that could be eligible too. So really, I think my guess is that the criteria that will come is really just that it serves more than one location and is collaborative, ideally multi-sectoral.
So when you talk about food systems transformation, are we focused on like food security or strictly?
No, I don't think so. I think food literacy, food sovereignty, education. I'm actually thinking I might share an image with you all. It wasn't part of the slideshow, but it's around systems thinking. It's essentially an iceberg. And at the top above the water, you've got like, what do you see that's happening around? And so we might see hungry people. But what's happening below the hungry people? What are the patterns and the behaviors? And even below that, what are the systems and the structures that we're all participating in? And then at the very bottom that kind of supports the rest is our mental models. So how we even think about food and our land and connection. So I think that the ideal is that we're going deeper than just, as we know, so many food organizations are having to really just be responding to hunger. And we're rarely able to go deeper and think about those mental models that inform how we are operating. So this is an opportunity to just kind of like think differently, shake it up, and know that we don't always have the solutions yet, and coming together to produce new ones, I guess. I don't know if that helps or if it complicates things, but
Yeah, I see a request in the chat about seeing that image or getting a link to it somewhere. Would you be able to link to it or share it, Julia, please? Thank you. Great, the link is in the chat to the iceberg image. All right, if there's no other last questions, we'll just show our contact information here. So you can reach out to either Julia or myself, and we'll be happy to answer any other questions. And yeah, please feel free if you're going to share this out. You can share the initial email invitation that we sent out to you, forward it on, or you can reach out to us and give them give their contact information to us, and we can send it to them. Either or works great. And you can find us at the links below, PHABC. And thank you all so much for coming. I'm just gonna check the chat if there's any last minute questions. I think they have been addressed. Thank you everybody so much for joining today, taking the time to meet with us. We're so excited to hopefully be working with you all on this Ideas Lab, and yeah, facilitating that collaboration and connection. So thanks everybody.
Thank you all.